right. Hey, everybody. Tyshawn and Alicia here. Just wanted to take a moment to just kind of share on the experience that we have recently been through where we moved to a new city. And where did we start at?
San Antonio, Texas.
And we are now in Dallas, Texas. And when we say this was an experience and a journey, this was definitely an experience and a journey. Babe, what were your first thoughts, if you remember, when I said that we had to suddenly move? What were your first thoughts about that?
It's about time.
Do you care to elaborate on that?
It was past time. We were overdue. So the Lord was like, I'm gonna kick y'all out, and that's what he did.
So essentially what she's talking about there, just to elaborate a little bit more. We were living in San Antonio, Commerce to be exact, and I was actually in Dallas at the time, and the Lord was like, hey, move to this city. And actually he told me, wait, was it 2017 is when I first heard him speak, I think? Yeah, it was 2017. And, didn't know when it was going to happen. We talked about it, And, just time went on. So 2022 comes around, and I am teaching a photography class in Dallas. And my landlord calls me. He's like, hey, and I'm waiting for the phone call because I'm expecting them to do the foundation repairs they're supposed to be doing to our house. And he calls with a whole different scenario. Talking about, hey, by the way, your actual landlord actually decided to make a different decision as far as for the direction they're going to go in. And it's actually not the rental property manager called me, not the landlord, but the rental property manager called me and said, hey, the landlord, the person that owns the house says they're going in a different direction and they have decided to sell the house and you got to be out in a month. So yeah, called my wife and like, hey babe, guess what? We got to move. Had no money, no resources, no nothing to say to help us to make us feel comfortable or feel that this was going to be an easy move or anything like that. So here we are now. I think this happened about the 20th of June. And I remember we signed the documentation saying that we'd be out by the end of July, the 31st of July. And like I said, we had no resources whatsoever. Mm-hmm. No nest egg, no nothing. And after I got off the phone, I hear, I often say that God has a sense of humor. I remember him saying, get from amongst the people that you know, the land that you know, to a place where I will show you. And so I'm like, nah, I ain't hearing that. I almost want to be like, devil, I rebuke you. No, I ain't trying to move no Dallas. We're not in a position to move. I was working, what was I doing? I was still doing just my photography business, actually. Just doing my photography business. And where were you at?
Northeast Lakeview College.
Yeah, okay. So you were working at Northeast Lakeview, which means you had to quit your job. Mm-hmm. So now we're looking at a situation where there's going to be no income coming in, and I'm moving into a market where I don't know anyone. Like, I have no clients whatsoever in the Dallas area. And I just remember sitting there, it took me a while really just praying about, actually moving to Dallas, when I was thinking that, it'd be much easier to, stay right there in San Antonio. Had a lot of friends that we had there. My mother lived out that way. So, if things went crazy or whatnot, we had a fallback plan, that we could fall back on and, people that, we would know that would be able to help us out. But, Lord didn't want to move that way, did he?
No, he didn't.
And so, we packed everything up. Thank God, for the people that was there that came over. Man, Brother Chris, thank you, sir. Pastor, thank you, sir. Brother Isaac. Big Ike. Appreciate y'all for helping us pack. But we packed it up, and man, I think we moved to the storage facility in the middle of July on one of the hottest days. I think it was all of about 110 degrees outside that day while we were out there moving, and it literally took us all day long of trying to get that stuff into the actual storage facility and getting set. And then, just getting the house all cleared out. You got flashbacks over there. Getting the storage facility all cleared out and whatnot. Not the storage facility, the house cleared out. What am I talking about? The house all cleared out as far as for all the stuff that we had there and stuff we needed to toss and throw away and move up to Dallas, not having no clue where we were going to go to whatsoever. And I think we got a hotel for initially 2 weeks. And it was 2 weeks. We got the hotel for, and he's like, man, Lord, we're gonna have a house by the end of because it was August, right? It was August. But yeah, Lord, we need to have a house by September. You're gonna do it, Lord. We're gonna have a house by September. And it didn't quite work out that way either, did it?
No, we didn't.
Yeah. Well, what happened?
We was there,
for
4 months later?
Yeah.
3-4 months later.
We looked at a number of houses. We had our own little version of House Hunter. We'll include some photos in there for y'all to be able to look at. But we were looking all over the place. We were in Mesquite, DeSoto, Duncanville, Arlington. It was, I think it was Mesquite or Arlington. It was one of those two. But all the houses was outside of actual Dallas. Now, even though those areas are considered to be a part of Dallas, it wasn't actually part of Dallas itself. And so one day I'm sitting, we're driving to go look at this house. We're going on a whim, and we're frustrated. I'm like, we're through at this time. We've been in the hotel for so long. We were just sick of looking at. Now imagine now, it's myself, my wife, 4 kids, and a dog. In probably about a 700 square foot room. Yeah, talking about getting closer. Yeah, that was, we definitely
got close again.
Yes, close enough to where close enough to where we was ready to have our own spaces and stuff like that, just to breathe from time to time. And like I said, through all of that, the resources didn't even make sense. The resources did not make sense when we should have had no money, when we should have been on the street. And I remember there was a couple times, I remember in the beginning of August, as we were coming up on the second week of the hotel, and I didn't know, I had no money coming in whatsoever. My wife, did you start the job yet? You hadn't started the job yet because you started at the end of August, right?
August 29th.
Yeah, so we had no money whatsoever. Couldn't ask anybody. Lord just had he had us isolated. And so I remember sitting there and I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning, God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And man, it was just the Lord was like, what are you worrying about this for? I told you to move. And I went back to sleep. And I think it was the next day, just resources just started coming in, customers. I think I had somebody, book they needed a photo shoot for a quinceañera done, and I had some other stuff just started rolling in, and it was just I was I'm just going to sustain you. I'm going to make sure, we didn't go one night hungry. And when it seemed it was going to be a situation where he was going to run out, he just coming right in the nick of the time. By the time we was getting ready to say, Lord, we need, he would come in. Anyhow, going back to what we were talking about, as far as we're dealing with the looking at the house. So we were driving one day on the way and just go look at the house because we're sick of it. And I'm sitting there in the back of my mind, I'm hearing the Lord say, I told you Dallas. And my wife just turns over right after I think of that. She looks at me and says, babe, didn't you say Dallas? I'm like, really, Lord? That's what we're doing today? And so the house we were going to look at was in Dallas. It was the first house we went to go look at that actually was in the zip code actually said Dallas. And so, excuse me, we went to the house and was blown away by the house. The house is beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And I just want to say, before looking at the house in Dallas, it was I got to the point where it's like, okay, God, you sent us here. And of course, I wanted certain things in a home and certain desires and all of that in certain locations. But it hit me, and I was like, it wasn't until I said, okay, yes, Lord. You said Big D, here we go. Okay, so that's where we're gonna be. And so I was like, okay, Lord. And I just worshiped in the moment. And then when we did see the house, that's he led us to the right direction. And so I just want to say that it was when I got out of the way. I'm like, okay, yes, Lord. Okay, Dallas it is. Yes.
Yeah. Now, so oftentimes, when God moves, we don't expect any type of opposition whatsoever. And so we came in, like a lot of times, when we hear things like, oh, this is your season, or God this, God that, we just expect it to be like an automatic, like the enemy's not going to put up any type of fight. There's not going to be any issues that we're going to have to go to or anything like that. And we just think we're just supposed to walk in and, the enemy's just going to roll over and play dead. And, we get to take the territory in the land. And, we found out that's not the case.
Yes, babe. That reminds me also, going back to leaving San Antonio. Let me tell you, when it was time to, everything's locked and loaded, we're locking the door.
Yep.
Everybody getting in the car. His car wanted to start tripping, and I'm like, now I know good and well. I said, oh, we getting up out of here. Yep. Do you hear me?
Yep.
And you want to talk about seeing some praying kids? So my husband's in his car the whole way, and the kids are in me in the van, and so we was praying the whole way, and the kids were just going off, just praying and going, and I was like, well, go ahead. But anywho, even the route that we took was a route we wouldn't normally take. So even in the midst of it may seem chaotic, Lord, you see this car tripping. Okay, you said we had to get out of here. You said you got us. Okay, so we taking a leap of faith because we really don't know where we going. And so we driving, and God is keeping us the whole way, and even the direction that he led us on, we was like, why are we going this way? But the Lord had a plan all along. And so anyway, but yeah.
Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
So like that whole car situation was crazy, right? Because I remember getting in the wheel. I got behind the wheel to start the car, started it up, get the AC going because it's hot outside. Went inside, something came out, car was off. I'm like, why my car off? Go in, start the car, cut straight off. Go in, start it up, cut straight off. It's like 4 times it stopped on me. And I'm like, Lord, are you kidding me? Like, we've done everything we were supposed to do. So started the car the last time. As soon as it started off, I threw it in the first gear and I just took off out the driveway. I'm like, now, man, we're gone. We're just gonna have to do what we need to do. And we went to drop the keys off to the actual the rental management property location. And when I got out the car to do that, the car cut right back off. I'm like, oh my Lord. Like, how are we gonna do this? Like, I can't get on the road like this. I was like, you know what? No, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna have to do what we gotta do. Cause we got a bunch of stuff in the van and we got a bunch of stuff in our vehicle. And it's just like, wow, what do we do? Come to find out, the entire route that we drove was away from any, it's like an hour and a half of a route in the midst through the country that we never saw before. And it was smooth roads the entire way. And when we got back on the highway, it was smooth driving all the way through. Come to find out, what was going on with my vehicle was there was an issue going on in there. And the mechanic that fixed my car was like, hey man, if you would have hit a bump the wrong way, like your whole engine would have seized up on you. Like you would have been stuck wherever you were. So even though we looked at it as opposition, man, it was the hand of God working. But there was so much more opposition that came up, even as trying to move in towards actually getting in the house. But we'll tell you about that next time around. So y'all stay tuned for the next episode. Be blessed.